to feel a bit pressured after hearing that it would cost a lot. But his mother's treatment depended on him getting one. As long as he could find one quickly enough, he was willing to pay regardless of what the asking price was. If the push came to shove, he could sell the bead of avarice too. Two men headed off to the display hall exclusively reserved for the VIP clients that exhibited only those ultra-expensive artifacts about to be auctioned off. Is this your current weapon? Wowzers, I can definitely sense the touch of a great artisan from this dagger. Then, well, I bought it off the store, though. The staff member hesitated slightly, before raising his voice with a grin. It won't be accurate since I'm not a dedicated appraiser, but at the bare minimum, I think it should cost well over 100 million won. Jin Woo's expression hardened. But, I paid 3 million gold for it in the store. Or was it more like 2.8 million? Seeing Jin Woo's expression, the staff member embarrassedly scratched. Jin Woo's head spun pretty quickly then. Doesn't this mean I won't have to sell the bead of avarice? Just as his thoughts arrived at this point, or his emotions to blame, he thought he could hear the loud cheers of the magic soldiers hidden inside his shadow. Holy cow, Papa, those reporters are still outside the building. Jin spoke while looking out of the window. It was already late in the evening. Reporters who hadn't given up yet were still gathered around in front of the apartment's entrance like a storm cloud. Look, up there. After discovering the silhouette of a person by the window, they hurriedly operated their cameras, thinking that it was Jin Woo. Seeing all those camera flashes suddenly exploding from here and there, Jin jumped up in fright and quickly shuttered the curtains. He turned around and sighed softly like a timid little animal. Should I go downstairs and say something? It was fine for those folks to disrupt his rest. However, he was more worried about them disrupting his sister's studies. Jin-ah was a high school senior, about to take the most important test of her life. Wasn't this the time when some overly sensitive kids would throw a tantrum just because of the faint footsteps outside their doors disrupting their studies? Well, Jin-ah isn't the type to raise a fuss over stuff like this, but still, could she even be able to concentrate with all these distracting noises coming from the outside? Just as Jin Woo was getting prepared to step forward. No, don't do it. Jin-ah quickly waved her hands about. Papa, you're already being slagged off from the internet, you know. So, can you imagine what they'll say if you chase away the reporters? Slagged off. Since Papa, stay in your room for a bit. Okay, what's the matter? A presence climbing out of the elevator was walking straight to here now. It's a hunter. The suspicious presence emitted a thin and weak magic energy. Jin Woo couldn't sense any hostile intentions from this presence, but still, he didn't feel like humoring an uninvited guest. The man spoke. Young Nim. He was even sniffling, too. Yu Jin-ho and his reddened nose were standing in front of the door, sniffling like a little kid. Hi, Young Nim. I got kicked out of the house. Dad kicked me out. Now that Jin Woo took another look, there was a backpack as big as Yu Jin-ho slung on his back. He was even carrying quite a lot of luggage in both of his hands, too. Wait, didn't you live alone already? Well, that. Sniff. The villa I was living in was under father's name, and he took it away. He even blocked all my bank accounts. A father blocking his son's bank accounts. All of them. So, I was wondering, Hyun Min, can I impose on you for the time being? Clank. Jin Woo quietly closed the door, and even proceeded to lock it. Click. Worried Jin-ah had been observing the situation from her room. And once Jin Woo turned away from the door, she quickly jogged next to him and asked, Papa, who is that? Do you know him? Jin Woo shook his head. Nope, never met him before. You really don't know him. But why did he come to our place, then? Don't worry about it. I'm sure he got the wrong address. Really. But it sure didn't look like that, though. As Jin Woo gently but firmly pushed his still suspicious little sister back into her room, Yu Jin-ho's sorrowful voice continued to ring out behind him. Dear, don't you think you were being too harsh on Jin-ho earlier today? Yu Myung H1 roughly yanked at his tie. What an insolent little child. He was about to be gifted with the Yujin Guild, which would no doubt become the Yujin Construction's core business in the future, yet he dared to answer like that. What? Follow Hyun Nim, was it? That fool deserved it. Yu Myung Han snorted derisively. If the boy wished to stand on his 2 feet, then he should do so on his own power, too. The father thought that he'd teach his son about every choice being accompanied by responsibilities and consequences. Was it because he was far too agitated? For some reason, it felt like his DMN tie just didn't want to come undone. My dear, are you sure you're really angry? Yu Myung Han tilted his head slightly and took a look at his own reflection in the mirror. What the? He was surprised by what he saw. Why did he look so pleased in the reflection? Even though his mouth was busy spewing out complaints only until a second ago, Yu Myung Han stared at his wife's face. But this is quite strange. What is strange, dear? I can see 2 of your faces. Pardon, just as the madam's eyes widened, Yu Myung-han lost his balance and staggered unsteadily. Dear, the frightened madam hurriedly tried to support Yu Myung-han. The madam's eyes opened wider. Why is there so much cold sweat? Yu Myung-han tried to keep his eyes wide open to forcefully beat back the sudden feeling of sleepiness, but in the end, lost his consciousness. Can you hear me, Chairman? Yu Myung-han took a quick look around him, and immediately figured out where he was. How long have I been here? You've been sleeping for the last 2 days. 2 days. The person most likely to be picked as the role model for hard working would be Yu Myung-han. He had never slept for more than 5 hours in a day in his entire life, no matter how tired he was. I guess I was quite tired then. He was indeed swarmed with various matters that kept him insanely busy recently. The sudden bout of vertigo and that unshakable sleepiness were probably the side effects. However, the doctor couldn't hide the seriousness from his expression. By any chance, have you discovered something wrong with my body? Mr. Chairman, by any chance, do you have anyone near you who is a hunter, or someone who's not a hunter yet but has been evaluated as an awakened? The doctor suddenly asked about something rather strange. Yu Myung-han asked if there was something wrong with his body, yet why was he talking about hunters now? Yu Myung-han asked back, feeling puzzled now. What are you talking about?
Souls. With each step, the burden grows heavier. In the face of death, they find the true meaning in life. Every scar tells a story. Every wound a testament to their resolve. Their journey is not just a battle against demons. A quest for redemption. Every strike, every victory brings them close. Through blood and tears.
skills, and even